Peace and power, family. I'm going to jump back in here again and talk about a topic that's been going on for some time on these social media streets. One that I typically stayed out. I've made comments, as it pertains to people, off the records, not necessarily off the records, just not on social media. But I've been noticing this war, that's been going on for years. I've had conversations with people. Lots of times I kind of stay out of the way because I think they're one-sided. I think they're short-sighted. I think they're lacking depth, lacking nuance, lacking a complete sense of the matter, and even a complete understanding of what others are talking about. There's been debate after debate about what disciplines we go in at the bachelor's level and what we do, and some people calling some things worthless degrees, and all these type of things. And look, I just try to reflect and pull on the importance for us to respect all disciplines. And then there's argument about what we're in and what we're not in, and people not going to these type of subjects because these subjects are harder, and then even a degradation of subjects. I've heard people say things like business degrees are the easy degrees, and these degrees are harder degrees, and I've heard people say these are worthless degrees and STEM degrees are better, or liberal arts degrees are better. I mean, look, I don't like to get in any of those type of conversations. I think the conversation is needed, but I think that just to keep it a buck, and these are my peoples, so I love y'all, and that's part of the reason why I created this community university. But let me disclose even, I know personally from my own account that a business degree is not an easy degree. And I also know that it's not 80% of people going to business. I do know that. But I do want to, as I did hear a colleague of mine say, that's impossible. That's statistically incorrect. But nonetheless, I love all y'all. But me having a business degree, I have a business degree. In fact, I've been a businessman much longer than I've had a business degree. But I will let you know that in the degree that I got, we had to do applied business. We had to do, as I brought on a dear scholar, elder of mine, Dr. Charles Simmons, the founder of Sojourner Douglas College recently, that I had to do a whole project, as he mentioned, as it pertains to my field. In fact, some would act like, you don't have to do any type of rigorous work to get a business degree. I'm going to suggest to you, even like for me, I had to take several accounting classes even to get my business degree, various psychology classes to get my degree, even industrial and organizational psychology classes to get my degree in business, which wasn't a simple, easy. You have to learn ethics, you have to learn law, you have to learn lots of things. What happens is some things are easier for some people and more difficult for others. Some people find math and technology to be very easy, and some people find it very difficult. Some people find writing and thinking in very complex ways and very, find it very difficult. Some people really love science because that's their jam. You understand? And me also having a Master of Science, right? I also understand that I appreciate both worlds. But I do understand as a person who operates in both worlds that each area and all the areas can be more difficult for other people. So the fact that some people find things to be easy and yeah, you will find some things easier depending on who you are. Like some people that I know that are very, very statistical or know all the laws or know all these different things, when they actually come into the counseling field, that becomes part of the issue. They do good in the statistics and the research classes and with CBT therapy and all that type of thing. But when we go into emotions and feelings and we go into the nuance of humans, and is not, and in fact, I kind of struggled with that at first. I wanted a scientific, very hardcore explanation of things, and human beings are way more complex than that. And if we are very regimented in the hard sciences, we will struggle with that, and we do struggle with that. And those who really do really well in law and this and that, when they come over to let's say psychology, counseling, and all these type of things, and things aren't just that simple and it's more nuanced, they struggle. But also a person who's very good in these areas, they will struggle likely in those other areas. I mean, but you have people that can operate in both worlds, and I think that I'm one of those people who can operate in both worlds. In fact, if anybody knows, to get a PhD, you have to do a lot of research classes. You have to do a lot of statistics is involved in research. You have to do probability. You have to understand these things to the level where you can utilize them to create experiments or do research quantitatively or qualitatively or what have you. But what I'm saying is the debate about what we need. I looked at the data, and yes, there are areas and fields that we are needed in, but these discussions need to be more nuanced. And I think when we're arguing these arguments, we really have to look at what each of us are saying. And I think lots of times the arguments that we're having in our communities is this. I think sometimes we're not being very clear on what we want our outcomes to be. Some of us are really arguing about these liberation or elevation in our communities through the system, and actually the system maintaining itself. And that's one way of looking at it. And then another way, some of us are arguing like, look, we got to get rid of this system and not really integrate in this system, and this system is not going to serve us. And many times we are arguing things and we're not really understanding where each person is coming from. And I think there's strengths in both sides of the argument. We have to be clear exactly what it is that we're arguing and what our outcomes are. And so we miss each other. And some of us are arguing to uproot the system, but simultaneously our arguments are really indicative that we're actually arguing to maintain the system. So I think that sometimes we're not as nuanced as we believe we are. And so I am not going to be the one to really say this is better than that and that is better than this and we need more of this, because when we really start digging, we'll really understand that we are short in a lot of areas, in many areas, and these numbers are really short. And I'm saying it's one thing to get something at a bachelor's level, but lots of the fields that we're arguing, we have to go even to higher levels of degrees. Like, for example, I was talking to my dear sister, and I was sharing with her that you can go and get a degree in psychology, but a degree in psychology is very different than a degree in engineering. You can't really, you can't become a psychologist with a bachelor's degree. You have to literally go to a doctoral level to be a psychologist. You can be an engineer with a bachelor's degree. So sometimes we're comparing things that aren't necessarily matching up, potatoes or what they say, however they say, apples to apples, oranges to oranges, or what have you. But yeah, so I think we have to have more nuanced conversations. I think we also have to understand what are we actually arguing and what does liberation look like for us? Are we imagining liberation on a deserted island where we have to build everything from scratch? I also think, and I also will argue, and I also maintain that it is very difficult to isolate variables such as what came first, this and that, and all those type of things, which I would also argue is a very Eurocentric way of looking at things, because Europeans like to isolate things and say this came before that and that became before this and all these type of things. I get it. There's some strengths there. There's some utility there. But at the end of the day, we are complex human beings. And that's what I love about, even I'm going to say about the social sciences, that we understand that we're very complex, and so complex that even our quantitative experiments are very limited. And so there's things that even in our scientific investigations or experiments or what have you, we come up short. We understand that, yes, quantitative tells us some things, it gives us some data, it gives us some things, but now it's left for us to interpret that. And many times I believe what was happening is we're interpreting the data differently, even if we're utilizing the same data. But also, I think that's why you also must look at things from more of a qualitative lens when we're looking at things quantitative. So quantitative experiments are important, but also qualitative and mixed methods, which mean both type of experiments. And there's other methodologies out here that are also different than any of these that I'm talking about. And so I maintain that we should never get caught in these arguments because they are not nuanced enough. They are not complete enough. They are not holistic enough to really matter that much. But what we should do is figure out how and what we're talking about. Let me back up. What are we actually talking about? Not to defend my part or defend my field or what have you. You understand? Like I feel like many of us are doing. I have it's funny because I sat in places where people are trashing business degrees. I have a business degree and it's applied. And anybody can ask me, what have you done with your business degree? I think if you know me, you might not want to go too far with that. You understand? So yes, in fact, the school I went to, it was really, it spoke about anything in any field and anything that we did inside that university had to have real life application, which the intent is for the development and the liberation for our people. So let's cease with these arguments back and forth about what is more important, what do we need, what must come first, what came first, when it's actually impossible to isolate these variables. You understand? And we understand that. And I think as social scientists, there's a strength there. But nonetheless, I mean, what y'all saying to me, man? What y'all got for me out here? Let's see. The real Baba Amen said, you find commonality in the details. When we truly discuss what we want and how we plan on getting there, everyone finds their role. Baba, I agree with that. And part of, I'll just keep it 100. Some of these discussions and conversations are going around because I am challenging us to have these discussions. And it's no secret. Ain't no he say, she say, ain't none of that. All of us need to come to the table. And I think that we need to do a better job of listening to one another. Because these one way, my way approaches, and it's very difficult to tease out what is scientific and what is cultural, what is all these different things. It's only when we look at these things in these one-dimensional, this or that way, this or that frameworks, which are very Eurocentric, that we get caught in these babbles. Let's have the conversations, people. Let's get over our egos. Let's have the discussions. Let's talk about it, and let's build. And I'm good with the data. I'm just going to tell you, we are suffering all around the board. Like, for example, some of us think that we have too many historians. No, we don't have a lot of historians. Go look at the data. Look at the data for real. And then look at the data, compare the data from how many people went to school for a thing and how many people are actually in the field. So we got to look at this thing in more nuanced ways, family. I love y'all. I love the ones debating. I love the ones that I talk to and drop drop this one on that one and that one. Look, let's have these discussions, but let's have them in ways where we're open to understanding the other person's point of views and perspectives, and not taking small details, maybe that they misspoke or what have you, or this or that out of proportion. But also, look. I think I'm not even. Let me just say this, y'all. I'm just gonna get off. But nonetheless, I love y'all, family. Like, share, subscribe. Let's have these discussions. Join us at these communiversities. You understand? TNAC, communiversities. Go to YouTube and subscribe at my page at Dr. Dennis Asar Winkler. Or it's Dr. Dennis Asar Winkler. We're looking to have these communiversities to ongoing, and we plan to continue to have these discussions, and let's do it. Peace.